everybody, and welcome back to Rise of the Podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Kara.
I'm Brownie.
And we're a full crew today.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Jeremy's not in New Orleans anymore.
No, I'm
Yay!
back. Flew home yesterday.
And boy, are your arms tired.
I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming.
Jeremy's first text to me is like, what is going on with the weather here?
It was 33 or 34 when I landed in Duluth yesterday.
That's Fahrenheit for all the international
Yes, Fahrenheit.
What would that be Celsius?
Zero.
Yeah.
Is it zero?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like 35 Celsius is like 115 Fahrenheit, though.
Perfect.
So that'd be the opposite direction.
Right.
So actually, speaking directly to people, audio listeners, come on over to YouTube. YouTube.com/Rise of the Podcast. Check us out. You can actually see our faces while we're saying stuff. We promise we're not that ugly.
No.
I was going to say, who doesn't want to see me? Come on now.
Exactly. We understand the audio experience is one thing, but give us a shot on YouTube. See if it's not something that causes some sort of horrible reaction.
Right.
I mean, you can see something awesome like on your track.
That's true.
Yep.
Occasionally, there's extra facts and tidbits. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put a fact down here, just some random fact that I'll pick later. Look at that, right on the bottom of the screen. It's so informational.
Chris, that is so interesting.
I gotta just put some pressure on myself.
I know, right? It's got to be interesting now. Come on.
Speaking of random facts, the terminal that I landed at is called Monaco Air, and so it's like a private terminal in Duluth, and
Yep.
they had facts up on the TV screen about Duluth, and some of them
Really?
were really fascinating.
Like what?
So they had
give
one
us a
like
blue fact.
Yeah, come on now.
they had one about Tedagooch and
That's not even in Duluth.
Split Rock Lighthouse.
That's also not in Duluth.
Northern
They had,
Minnesota.
they had one about the lift bridge. Oh,
That's in Duluth.
a 737 or a 747 has 6 million parts.
Dang.
That was one of the facts.
That's not about Duluth, though.
No, but that was one of the facts that I was like, wow. So if you think about it, it was like
That's
a
a lot of
parts
pieces.
guy being like, oh, part 5,143 needs to be replaced.
Okay, well, speaking of like planes and parts and stuff, did you see somebody built a life-size X-Wing
Oh,
out
really?
of Legos?
Out of Legos?
Out of
Man,
Legos.
that billionaire over here.
I think it ended up being like 20 million some pieces.
That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
I mean, and what do we average out a piece is like what?
10 seconds.
How many? Not time, but how much is it worth?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
it all
like
varies.
if you're doing like buying them individually, it's like a nickel is the cheapest piece you can get.
So let's average out to like 15 cents a piece.
Oh goodness!
I mean, times that by 20 million.
20 million. That's
$1 million.
$1 million
Yeah.
X-wing.
Yep.
So yeah, but it's life size. It's really cool. It's even got R2 in it.
Is
Oh,
it
cool.
lumpy when you sit inside of it?
Probably is.
That's really
I
cool.
just thought it was really cool. I don't remember why I came across that. It may have been posted in the Star Wars Celebration
The
page. or
thing
something.
that I'm wondering is if it's solid or if it's hollow. Because like if it's hollow, fine, you build is like, but like to me, it has to be solid throughout the whole thing for it to really
Absolutely.
be that impressive. I mean, it's still obviously impressive.
Right.
What am I
I mean, a
saying?
life-size X-Wing. Impressive, yes.
That was pretty cool.
Does it have a thing where if you hit the thing, it shoots the proton torpedo out of
That
it?
would be. Can you imagine a life-size one of those? Just a huge.
That'd be dangerous.
It would be just like a 10-foot thing.
It's
Just
used like a shock absorber spring to shoot it out.
Right?
that'd kill someone. Easy.
It would definitely destroy a Death Star. Oh, that's what they should do. Is you get a Death Star model and shoot it at the X-Wing.
A Death Star pinata.
Oh,
That'd be awesome. It'd be pretty cool.
we need to do it. Jeremy, go acquire.
That many pieces.
Yeah, right? I'll just borrow it
I'll just borrow it.
without
Can
asking.
you ship it to us, please?
Yeah, we'll do a collab with whoever did the thing.
Exactly. That's
Right.
all I
We'll
gotta
bring
do.
the Death Star, they bring the X-Wing, and we'll see whatever happens.
And we'll share the
happens.
candy inside the pinata.
Oh, what a deal. You spend $1 million on an X-Wing, but you get some free candy. Who
I
wouldn't
think
do that?
that seems like the fairest trade of them
Right?
all.
Just fill it with a bunch of like cheap candy. Dum-dums and stuff.
I remember a Duluth fact.
Oh, the worst candy. Okay, go ahead.
Based on community size, because this is according to Monaco Air, based on community size,
Just like a you're like, this is not a Jeremy fact.
no, this is a Monaco Air fact. Healthcare for the Duluth neighborhood is rated #1 based on community size.
Okay.
Really?
So it was like you get really, really good healthcare for the size of our community.
Paid for by St. Luke's.
Yeah, right.
Essentia Health. So the place that I work, we work with Essentia Health on a lot of stuff, and they spend a lot of money putting their name onto things so that people
Right.
are aware of them. And it's like to the part where it's like we'll make stuff, and then one of our sales reps will be like, "I'm going to see if Essentia wants to give us money to put their logo on."
That's awesome.
But honestly, they do a lot of really awesome, cool stuff.
Right.
And so now we're just on a healthcare sideline because I actually think this is kind of cool. They are partnered with the National Institutes of Health, doing a 1 million person research project where it's like you go in. They just did a big event that I got to fly the drone for.
Yeah.
Cool.
They did this big, like basically an intake event where you go, you just fill out a short questionnaire, you get like a DNA swab and submit like a blood and a urine sample, right? And the idea is across the entire country, they want 1 million participants so they can make this huge database of all these different things.
That's cool.
So they can see if like there's a regional impact on people's health, or if you're from an area and then move to another area, are there any common things that can happen and stuff like this, like, and then like genetic profiling, all this stuff.
Right.
This having this huge data set to look from to see if they can derive any types of trends in terms of like people that are more or less. Exposed to whatever, have higher or lower,
Right.
whatever. It's super, super, super interesting.
Well, when I was down in,
And you get a $25 gift card if you sign up to do it. So
well, that's cool.
this podcast, sponsored but not sponsored by Essential Health.
Right. I was doing a tour down in North Carolina, and one of the wealthy people who owns a building down there got a really bad cough, and it was only cured by like mountain air or something like that. So he ended up moving to a different part of the country, and it's what fixed it. Like what fixed his cough for him was the air quality and the air.
I would stay in the warm weather and deal with the cough.
Of course you would, Kara. So speaking of down south, so I got back from New Orleans, and last
Wait, what did you say?
New Orleans,
Okay, thank you.
NOLA.
I swear
Louisiana.
I heard
So,
New Orleans in there. I was like,
as we were joking really quick, I got to talk about Hulu. I've been watching Hulu Futurama, and so I've been getting ads up. And since I was down there, I was getting all Louisiana ads. So it was
the
like
gumbo pack.
they had the gumbo pack, and then they had this is Louisiana crawfish, and these crawfish are from China, and we don't want these crawfish down here.
Wasn't that
And
sponsored by the gumbo pack too?
it was sponsored by the gumbo pack. So I was getting like all these Louisiana-based ads, and it's like it's not this is applicable to me.
Snopes of the South.
Yeah. Well, so an interesting thing like that. So when I watch certain NFL football games, I will stream them.
Right.
And the Buffalo area is a place where I get a lot of the streams from. So I see all these like, there's a place called Consumers Liquor in the Buffalo area.
In case you're ever there.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's interesting. And so I make ads as my day job.
Right.
And it's interesting to see how like literally exactly the same every place is. Like Buffalo...
Right.
For all intents and purposes, it could be in China. For all we, it's like it's nowhere near where we're from. But like all their stuff's the same.
Right.
Yeah.
They've got all the same things that they want people to buy.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Just one of them says Buffalo and one of them says Duluth.
Right.
So just funny to me.
Yeah, it was just interesting to be exposed to those ads down there because they're definitely those felt different to me though, but it was because it was like a political season, so their issues that they have are a lot
Elect
different.
Johnson for Roscoe Parish.
Right, exactly. And so then instead of go vote, they had GEAUV vote, go vote.
X.
X, go vote.
French.
Yeah,
Go. So that was pretty interesting, but no, so there was some cool things I figured we could talk about New Orleans. So we went to one of the best restaurants we've ever had down there.
Goodness. It had only been over 3 weeks. So it's a Southern Charm.
Southern Charm. And these guys almost told me all about this.
But we waited.
Like,
And then I was
save
like,
for
no,
the podcast.
shut up your face.
So
This is monetizable content here, guys.
Right.
I read about them online, and then so we pull up to the building, and I almost didn't go in because the first thing is that it said cash only on the door, but it wasn't like wasn't a requirement by them. Normally, it was their machines were down. They're having problems with their network or their credit card machine.
Okay.
But it's in a very long, like
It looks like a warehouse.
but a very thin warehouse.
yeah.
It was the building was very thin, and so I was like,
Like 10 feet wide? Or?
Well,
it was
I
very
would
thin.
say it was probably 20 feet. I mean,
It just looked
for
funny.
a build. It was long. Think of like 2 trailer houses stacked on top of each other.
Okay. And so, like, remember when we went to the packing district?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
would it be like half as wide as that, would you say? Or
Yeah,
less?
Yeah,
at
I'd say
least,
half as
at
wide.
least half as wide.
So basically, yeah, if you took like one of the hallways instead, because there's that loop that goes down,
Right.
Like, would that be pretty comparable?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and then here's the thing too. They didn't have a legitimate sign.
there was no
It was
signs
a
or
banner hanging across the top of the building.
That was
so
it.
I was like,
Not a front for drugs.
anything. Right. so we, I'm like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna go here because appearances matter, and I was like, this just doesn't look like a safe restaurant. But the reviews online said the staff was super friendly, so I was like, well, I'm gonna at least go in and check it out.
Okay.
So I ran in there before we
but you
committed
went
to
to
getting
look for an
cash.
ATM in there.
That's the other thing. I wanted to see if they had an ATM, and it was like wouldn't be a big deal. I wouldn't have to go get cash. So I walked inside. I looked around. My first thought was, Carol, we're eating here. Like this
Yeah.
is this is awesome. And it was just me, but that's what I thought to myself was about Kara eating there. So I'm like, Kara, we're eating here. So I go back out to the car. I'm like, we're eating there. So we go down and get cash. We come back and Kara walks in. She's like, wow. Kara felt underdressed for how nice it looked inside there.
It was nice.
Was it all like white linens?
Yeah, they had linen tablecloths, but with white paper over the top of them. But like it looked fancy.
Was nice. It
was nice.
And like I said, they've only been open 3 weeks, so they're still like working out kinks. But
Working out, all the bugs and everything like that.
Do you have any photos from the inside of this place?
Rich does.
Rich does. Okay,
Rich
good.
took a couple photos of the inside.
All right. Well, if Rich gets them to you and you get them to me in time,
We'll post them.
We'll put some photos up.
Okay.
Well, it's still the potos up. It's just like the po boy.
So right. So the owner was
Sorry, that
there.
was bad.
The owner was there in a white, like chef's coat. The actual chef was there in a white chef's coat. He was walking around talking to people, getting their opinions on everything. So we sat at the bar area. We got in right
another
away.
chef, the owner was like, it's going to be probably 45-minute wait for a table. He was like, so if I were you guys and you don't mind, I just sit at the bar. So we sat at the bar.
I'm gonna just read off I'm gonna read off what I ordered. So we started off with every day they make a daily cornbread, and it was fantastic. So
that means it's just fresh daily, or they have a different type of cornbread for each day of the week?
different type of cornbread for each day of the week.
But it's made fresh.
But it's
every
made fresh.
single day. Like ours came fresh from the oven.
Like hot, crumbly apart,
just,
fresh cornbred.
Which day of the week were you there?
We were there on a Saturday, and I went on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And so Saturday night was like a fall seasonal cornbread.
It was,
so it was like a pumpkin
cornbread,
spice.
Pumpkin spice cornbread.
It was delicious.
Autumn spice. I think it was
good.
called autumn spice. That thing.
They're trying to keep all those basic ladies out of there. If you call it pumpkin spice, you're gonna have nothing but leggings and Uggs.
Yeah, right.
It
Call it
was
fall spice.
to die for. They brought out samples, and Jeremy and I were like, "Oh my
this is
gosh.
so good. It gets better.
We definitely ordered.
I haven't eaten yet today, so don't talk too explicit details.
So
We ordered more.
So for our appetizer, we got bayou rolls. So those are Louisiana crawfish, Cajun sausage, roasted corn, cheese wrapped in an egg roll shell, and then fried with a Creole tomato aioli.
Oh my goodness.
That was to die for. The
So-
textures were perfect. The crisp was on the
They were
egg roll.
fried, and they were delicious.
Oh
so
my
all of
God.
that was
Sounds
like
so good.
deep fried
was
in an egg
amazing.
roll, and that was to die for. So that established a baseline. So I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I haven't had this good of food in a long time. This was hands down one of the best places we'd eaten down there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it established a baseline. So then they had brought out the cornbread. We tried that. And so for dinner, I ordered a burger. So I was like, okay, excellent appetizer.
Yeah.
An excellent like free item menu or like free cornbread, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, they've set the bar, they've kept the bar, and they've kept going from there.
Hold on 1 second. Very professional podcast. Hello. Yes. What's up? Heck yeah. Would it about an hour and a half be okay? All right, perfect. Well, I'll see you in a little bit. All right, thanks, Bob. Bye.
So for those of you who don't know, Chris's car has been in getting fixed. That was the dude telling him his car is done.
Yay, my vehicle's done. Aren't we so happy that we know that my car is functional again?
Yes. Woo! Functional car.
Boy.
Well, it works out. We're down here. We can drop you off at your car. I mean,
Yeah, the logistically, I did this probably the worst possible way because the shop that I went to is like several cities away from the city that I live in. Which is also different than the city that we're in recording this. So
Right.
just geographically, it's a nightmare.
but it worked well because it's not too far out of the way back home.
Yeah, so between here and where we live is sort of where
Yeah.
the shop is, so everything will work out nice. I'm gonna have to stop at an ATM, I imagine.
Got it.
So
Pay him.
Illegal.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Illegal use of time.
Oh yeah. So anyway, I'm glad that made it into the pocket.
Yeah,
Right? I mean, come on.
So, anyways, all right. So back to the restaurants. We had a great experience. We had excellent egg rolls, excellent cornbread, and so I was like, "There's no way it's going to be really hard to keep this level up when all I did was order a burger." So the burger I got is lanyap, is how it's pronounced. It's spelled really crazy. And
Is there an X in it?
nope.
Okay, good.
It's Lagniappe.
Whoa, that's insane.
Yeah, and it's pronounced land.
We'll put up a little fact bubble about this too.
So I want to tell you about it. So Edward, the owner, came over and he said, "Do you know what lanyap means?" And I said, "I have no idea." So it down there, if you do something and you go a little bit extra, it's lanyap. That's going that little bit extra mile, doing that little bit extra to make something special.
Okay.
So this burger, Chris, I compare it to home slice pizza. It's the best pizza I've ever had in my life. This is the best burger I've ever had in my entire life.
I agree.
So the lanyap burger is 8 ounces of formed beef and Louisiana hot sausage grilled with cheddar cheese, bacon,
Yes.
and then the chef's famous sauce served with French fries or veggies.
Heck yeah.
So it was...
You didn't bring one home for me.
No, I didn't. We'll just have to go down there and you'll have to try one.
Fly me down there so I can get a sandwich and then you fly back.
So it was the sausage was a separate patty from the burger, and it was all smushed with the chef's special sauce. So it was really funny. So Kara got a po' boy.
I got a fried catfish po' boy.
You got to do the authentic cuisine.
Yes. So Kara got the catfish po' boy, and so she had her plate. I had my plate. I took a bite of the burger and I said, "Kara, they've done it. They've kept the bar for how good this food is. I now have a new place that I can say is my favorite burger of all time." So I gave Kara the sandwich to take a bite, and the chef is sitting there at the counter watching us. And
so I imagine that you guys are sitting at the bar, like side by side, and he is literally like his elbows are almost touching your plate.
Not that close.
And he's like, just like, is it good?
So the cash register was at the end of the bar, and he was kind of like looking at the till, but he was also watching us. So he was like watching us see what he said. So Kara took a bite, and she goes, "Oh my goodness." She reaches down, grabs her po' boy, and just slaps it on my plate and takes another bite of the burger. And the chef lost it. He just burst out laughing. He's like, "Oh, she stole the sandwich because it's so good," or whatever, his burger because it was so good. And so I came by and I thanked him for how good it was. And he said it's like, he claims it's the sauce, but I really think it was a combination of like the burger with the sausage patty and then all together with the sauce and the cheese.
It was amazing.
Fantastic.
Well, so that's when I do spaghetti, that's how I do the meat. Is half of it is spicy Italian sausage and half it is beef.
You can never, I don't care what you're making, you can never go wrong adding sausage in with the beef.
Yep.
I don't care if it's chili, lasagna, I don't care. Beef and sausage, perfect together every time.
Yep. Oh man, that sounds so freaking good. So was the po' boy good too?
The po' boy was good. The lanyap earned its name with that though, because it did go that extra, it was...
Fair enough.
So we loved it so much. I took my friends back there.
Well, you didn't finish our experience.
Oh my goodness, I got to backtrack.
So Jeremy and I are like full at this point.
So
Everybody knows we're full at this point.
We got an extra
the
order.
portions sound like they're pretty decent as well.
My po' boy was probably like this. No joke. It was a sub. It was huge.
Dang.
So we had Bayou rolls, cornbread, an extra order of cornbread, my lanyap burger, fries, all of that food. I was already getting pretty full. Like
I don't think I finished every part of my po' boy or fries because I was like, okay, I'm like.
I ate the rest of her the little bit of extra catfish and just left the bread.
Okay.
Because it was good. I love fried catfish. Nice big piece of fried catfish. So Edward and them were like, I told them about, the level of excellence that they maintained. And then so now they're getting excited. So now he comes out from the kitchen and he's like, "Oh, I made this for myself. I want you to try it." So it's his homemade dirty rice, which is sausage.
Is it off menu then? Or?
You can get it as a side.
Okay.
They do have it listed as a side, but he says his favorite thing. So he brought it over as
dirty
side.
rice as a side. Yep.
Okay.
He brought it over to us as a side, and there were probably 3 or 4 spoonfuls for each of us.
Yes.
And so I got 2 in, and I was like, "Oh, Jeremy, I don't know if I can do this."
We're good. So we had that, and we're like, "Check, please, everything." And he goes, "Oh, you're not leaving yet." He's like, "I'm bringing you all bread pudding compliments of us or whatever." So like compliments of the chef and slash the owner. I have a picture of that as well.
The cornbread, we got the dirty rice, and we got the bread pudding on the house.
Oh my goodness.
It was to die for. It was so good.
It was a bread pudding. It was like in the shape of a pie, but then it had chocolate, caramel, and a rum sauce drizzled over top.
Can we just stop the podcast? I need to go eat. It's ridiculous.
And so
it was so good.
They were so nice.
What's the name of this place again?
Southern Charm.
Southern Charm.
It earned
This portion
its
of the
name.
podcast brought to you by
Southern Charm.
Seriously, if you haven't gone, go. I don't care where you live, go.
It was so good, and it was just fun. Very rarely do you see chefs interacting with like the patrons anymore and stuff like
They're usually
that.
so
Well,
busy cranking away on whatever.
Right.
Right. And even the owner was out and about joking
Yes.
around. I mean, we were joking with the manager, we were joking with the bartender, the owner. I mean, everybody was so nice.
It was a really
We didn't
good
want to
time.
leave. I think we ended up.
We were
We
there for like
brought
2
a
hours.
Minnesota goodbye to them.
Yep.
They gave you the Southern hospitality. You gave them the Minnesota goodbye.
Well, yes. But yeah, that night I just laid down and I was just like sitting there like, oh, I am so full. Oh, please just let this, it's just, I was packed to the capacity. And then I woke up the next morning. I didn't even want anything to eat because I was still super full.
I asked him, I was like, so what do you want to do for breakfast? He's like, nothing.
I'm going to have a nap for breakfast.
Right. So that was a really good experience. But so we did the podcast. Kara was still home. She flew down the next day. We did tons of stuff, as much as we possibly could.
We started out going to like the sculpture gardens.
We went
and
to
the botanical garden.
Yep, the city park area, because the city park is twice the size of Central Park in New York.
Yeah, it's 2.5 square miles.
Dang.
It's
That's
huge.
huge. Yeah.
So we walked around. We checked out the sculptures, the botanical gardens. Saw like alligator gar, the fish. They had a big celebration going on there. Super, super hot.
Which is super funny. They had like a like Jeremy said, a festival type thing. They had a bunch of vendors and stuff. There was a vendor from Minnesota
Yeah, there was.
down
Yeah.
in New Orleans.
Dang.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were walking around and I heard her saying, "Yeah, back home in Minnesota." I was like, "What are you doing down here?" Right? I mean,
Can you check and see if that camera's... This thing got disconnected for some reason.
Yeah, I
so.
can check.
oh, my camera's not working. Oh my
it's
gosh.
All
Oh,
right.
it is.
minutes.
All right. Well, do you want to just cycle that for me while you're up there? Sorry.
Just like what?
Yeah. Sorry, this thing's being insane.
Yeah. So it was actually what the New Orleans something museum. What was it that it was?
Which museum now?
The gardens. It was it was a museum park.
I don't remember.
I know I hashtagged it, so hold on.
Okay. What story did you want to tell about it?
No, it was just beautiful.
Oh.
New Orleans Museum of Art. So we have a bunch of pictures of that we can post if we want.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
It is.
It was really, really pretty, really good time.
We went through a Japanese, in the botanical garden, they had a Japanese section.
Okay.
And we were walking through it. And Jeremy, what's my favorite thing about New Orleans?
They're called we're just going to call them geckos. They're little lizards
Okay.
that are all over the place.
Adorable.
Are they like a
And
nuisance considered? Or?
I don't know to them, but to Kara, they're an anti-nuisance because one of their favorite foods is moths.
Oh, there you go.
And so she
Okay.
hates moths, hence the moth story from episodes ago.
I was going to say, we should just insert right here the video of you going,
Yeah.
But yeah, so they eat moths, and we saw them all over the place down
they
there.
were
we-
so cute.
yeah, I had one in my room.
2 in your room.
Yep.
So Jeremy, he's about ready to leave the hotel, and he's like, "Oh my goodness, we're on the
Actually,
phone."
this is kind of funny.
And we're on the phone, and Jeremy's like, "Kara, there's there's a gecko in my window," and I look and I was like, "Is that inside?" And it had gotten somehow between the screen and the
glass.
window pane.
So he's still outside, but he was stuck.
He was outside,
So Kara's like, you have to save him.
and so
they're
he opens
fast.
the window, and he's like, "There's 2 here." So one's brown and one's green, and this comes into play. Jeremy goes to grab the brown one, and they're fast. They're real fast, right? So he skitters away from him, and he disappears in the room somewhere, right?
He jumped down and got out.
Okay.
So now he's in my room now.
So then Jeremy goes for the other one, and he gets the other one, and so the green one. And so he goes and he goes to let the gecko out. The gecko wiggled out of his hand and up onto his shirt.
Yep. And so I was
And-
just trying to get to the door as quickly as possible. So Kara's in the room on FaceTime,
Yeah, we're
watching all of
FaceTiming.
this, and then
So I hear the door open and shut, and I'm like, probably 2 minutes later, I'm like, did Jeremy die out there?
what do you think happened, Chris?
Jeremy got locked out of his room.
I got
Yes,
locked out of
he
my
did.
room. And the second the door shut, I look behind me. I'm like, I don't have my key. I don't have my wallet. I don't have anything,
Oh,
right?
no.
So he goes down to the desk.
I had to go down to the desk, and then the lady wouldn't give me a new card. She's like, well, I can't. Without your ID, sir, I need your ID. I'm like, I'm locked
all
out of my
in my
room.
room.
And I said, I'm in the military. I have my name tags like
I have
right
my name
here,
tag.
you know.
How do you think I got here in the first place?
You know. So she's like, asking me like my last four of my credit card I used to check in and my phone number I used to make the reservation. I knew all that. And she's like, all right, here you go.
And so probably 5 minutes later, he finally comes back to the room. I'm like, okay, my husband's
She's
not
still on
dead.
FaceTime.
Right? I almost hung up. I came this close to hanging up. And so he comes back in, and now he's looking for the other gecko. And he's like, where could it have gone? He's like, wait, there's a green one in this window. Apparently, these little guys,
They can change color.
they can change between green and brown.
They're called fake chameleons or something because they
Okay.
only have two colors.
They're
green and
super
brown.
cute. Oh, and when they eat big things, they've got this dorsal fin thing on their back
that
that
pops up.
expands when they're eating, when they eat large things. It's actually kind of cool.
Interesting.
So he finally catches the second one. I'm like, Jeremy, you need pictures of this guy. So maybe we can post a picture of the gecko.
Okay.
He's
Yeah.
so cute. Oh my goodness.
What'd you name him? Did you name him Gordon Gecko?
No, she didn't.
I
name
didn't
him.
name him.
I was trying to get him out of my room.
So he was wiggly. Like Jeremy was holding on to
they
him.
get-
He was like trying to get away.
Well, they invented twerking in New Orleans.
Yeah, right. That's right. Well, that's
There you
they got it from the
There you go.
geckos.
Anyway, so we let that one go. But that's my favorite part. So anyway, back to the Japanese garden. There was a little gecko in the Japanese garden. It made me so
Nice.
happy. I have pictures of him. He's adorable. Whoever doesn't like little geckos, there's something wrong with you.
But
Fair
then
enough.
decided to take Kara down to the famous French Quarter.
Yes.
We went down there.
Okay, so because I don't know anything about the French Quarter, then it's called the French Quarter.
Yep.
So, like, in my mind, this is my headcanon for the French Quarter, and tell me how accurate or inaccurate
All right.
this is.
Lay it on us.
So they have a line drawn, imagine a pie chart of the city, which is perfectly circular in my mind. And then there's a quarter of this cut out, and then, like, all the French stuff happens here.
Not even close.
Nice
So-
try.
so-
A for effort.
New Orleans looks like on a map, like Long Island, just laid out on because it's got the boot.
Yeah.
And it's got just this
Wow, that was
sprawling,
the most Minnesotan boot I've ever heard.
so
the boot.
So it's got the boot, and then it's got like a sprawling landscape, and then the French Quarter is just a square grid right on the water, right on the bay, and right in the heart of New Orleans. But it's on the water, and so you get down there, and then there's parking, and then they've got a French market, which is a long thing. They have a big statue of Joan of Arc down there.
Because Joan of Arc,
Is
the
French.
maiden of Orleans,
Orleans.
New Orleans.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but I know who you're
I
talking
think in
about.
French it's like Orleans or something like that, but we've brought to New Orleans.
Yep.
Anyway, that's basically the city's named after her, more or less. So they have a big old gold statue of her. That's pretty cool.
And then so Kara has always wanted to do the horse rides in Canal Park, and we never got a chance to. So down there they have mules
Okay.
because they hold up to the heat and everything like that. So we got on a mule tour, and I learned some really cool things. So why do you hate episode 1, Chris?
I mean, lots of reasons.
But the opening
CGI.
crawl.
Oh yeah, taxes.
Taxes, right?
Space taxes, tax.
So it's amazing how much taxes drive things in this world. So the French Quarter is very iconic for their galleries and their balconies. So balcony is unsupported, and
I
a
believe
gallery is supported.
Okay.
It's got posts,
It's got the posts. So when you
Okay.
think of a classical building down there, you see the wrought iron balconies with the big posts and then the multiple levels of the thing. Well, when that area was being built, they wanted to try to tax people. So instead of coming up with just a property tax, they came up with a hallway tax. Because they figured the more hallways you had, the more money you had, the more tax you would be able to pay.
Okay.
So to get around that, they just didn't build hallways.
There's just big open rooms.
Big open rooms that you get to by going outside and going back in the doorway, because the galleries or the balconies are not hallways, they're galleries or balconies.
Or the other thing they would do is they would put walkways between buildings. So they'd be covered, but it'd be a walkway, and then you could go off into the doors.
Okay.
So I had to laugh when the guy was explaining that to us. I was
Yeah.
like, man, these people, all these beautiful buildings are so iconic. Everyone has a balcony or a gallery because no one wanted to pay taxes.
Well, the other thing that he told us was none of the building's main doors, ever let out into the street.
They always
They all
face
have
inside.
They all have a courtyard, and all of the exits to the main doors to the houses would be into the courtyard.
Okay.
Because when New Orleans was built, the French Quarter was built, they didn't have indoor plumbing, and so everything would get tossed out onto the street.
Okay.
And so you don't want to walk out your front door into a human turd.
Right.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that was pretty. So all the iconic views you see as well are actually just at the backs of all these houses, and the inside, which are all private entryways now, and you can't really see any of the courtyards unless you know somebody. Are all the interiors of the houses, or the front of the houses are facing inside, and the other ones are facing outside.
That's very interesting.
So that was kind of cool, and it was like, man, there's these people are just trying to dodge taxes, so they just get all smart and.
I wish we could dodge taxes like that.
Right.
Or is that what you call renters these days?
Yeah. Well, they don't have to pay property tax. But
Exactly. Every
supposed to
other
be
tax, yeah.
Incorporated into the rent, but.
True.
So that was a really cool little tidbit or fact that we had learned.
Yeah. And then talking about like the balconies or the galleries. So you don't see it very often down there anymore because due to insurance purposes, it's super expensive to have these. The poles on the poles.
Yeah, the poles that support the.
that support the gallery, they had spikes on them.
Okay.
They actually called them Romeo spikes.
Romeo's. Oh,
so
okay.
guys couldn't crawl up to see their ladies.
And court the women. So
I
yeah,
see.
the
Right.
homeowners would do that and then do it. But now because of insurance reasons,
And how crazy people get on Mardi Gras.
people climb them and get hurt, and then they hold the landowner responsible.
So I think
There's
the
only
guys,
a couple houses that like hold out.
I think he said 6 or 7.
Yeah.
In all of the French Quarter don't have these spikes anymore. You saw a few of them on the tour,
Yep,
but
that was kind of cool to see.
Yeah, it
That's
was.
interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. What a different place.
And they also
I know.
grease the poles too.
yeah, I think that's what they do more
During Mardi
now.
Gras.
During
Mardi Gras, they'll grease all the poles.
Yep.
So people
you
can't
can't
climb
even
them
begin
and-
to climb them.
Yep.
Okay.
You just woo.
So
Fall down.
and then it originally New Orleans was French, correct?
Yep.
So and then it burned down in early 1800s, I think it was.
Even early or late 1700s,
Something
and then they
like that.
rebuilt it.
And the Spanish came back and
Yep.
rebuilt it. So when you look around, everything is very Spanish. It's not the French design that you would expect to see. It's all very Spanish.
Okay.
It's beautiful, but there is one building left that is originally, well, I mean,
It's
more
French,
than
yeah.
one, but there's like one main building left that's French. Still
Okay.
French. Somehow it survived. But it was kind of cool because of the floodwaters and stuff,
Foundation's
porch
like
of it,
almost
the
6 feet
foundation is
high.
probably 10 feet high.
Oh, dang.
It's like 6 feet high.
It's only 6 feet, you think?
Yeah, it's about as tall as me, but that's crazy. The main floor of the house doesn't even start until 6 feet
Yeah.
compared to everything
crazy,
else.
yeah.
So it's pretty. The outside of it looks pretty wretched, but the guy said that recently, I think like 2012, they actually turned it into a historical museum there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty
That was
sweet.
that was really cool too.
I don't remember the name of the building. I think I have a picture of it, but I don't remember the name. We can maybe post down here
Yep.
what it's actually called.
But then one of the other things we got to go do is the National World War II Museum is down there.
Hold on, you forgot to talk about Café du Monde.
Oh, Cafe Du Monde. All right, we'll go back to Cafe Du Monde.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness. How do you forget Café du Monde?
So that was one of the places I was super excited to go, and I waited to go until Kara was there. I had beignets from Cafe Beignet, but they also make beignets at.
Café du Monde,
At Café
which has
du
been
Monde.
around since 1772.
It's before the U.S. was the U.S.
Okay.
So it's been there, open 24 hours. It's been there ever since then. So you get the real chicory coffee. So they used to use chicory
Café au lait
to cut the coffee down with, so they had more for the soldiers. And you'd get these beignets, and these beignets were delicious.
So we're standing in line.
And you have to get
and-
3 at a time.
We
get a
see
pack
that
of 3.
It comes in. We saw it came in a pack of 3, and I was like, you know what? I want my own. Jeremy, I want my own. He's like, no, we're only gonna get 1 bag, Kara. It's gonna be fine. 3 is enough for us. I was like, no,
One apiece
I want
plus
my
split
own.
one.
I don't think Jeremy.
back and forth the entire line.
I don't think Jeremy finally decided until we were ordering that we were gonna get 2 bags.
Okay.
Okay, and then we got 2 large of the frozen cafe au laits because it's hot down there. I don't want a hot coffee. We sat down. We both ate 3 beignets.
A piece.
And Jeremy looked at me. He's like, "You were right." I was like,
I'm really glad we each got our own bag of beignets because they were delicious. I mean, they were hot right from the thing. It tasted like a cross between a mini donut and a Danish, but without the fruit. Just
Okay.
like the size of a Danish, but the taste of a mini donut.
so it came in a bag, like your standard brown paper bag size, like your lunch bag.
Yeah.
It came in about that size of a bag. like I said, 3 beignets in each, and these things are doused in powdered sugar.
Doused.
Jeremy, after he was done eating, he was like, man, it looks like I just did a line of Coke or something.
It was insane. It was doused in powdered sugar to the point where powdered sugar was even starting to soak up the grease from the beignet, making these hard little grease balls of
powdered sugar.
delicious.
It was.
They were delicious.
So,
Like you'd bite them and then you'd crunch the little hard grease powdered sugar balls and it would just explode
so
flavor in your mouth. It was delicious.
You know that
So-
that's shaving years off your life.
I know.
when you ate your last beignet and you looked in the bottom of the bag, there was probably 3/4 of an inch of powdered sugar settled in the bottom of the bag.
I was going to say, but when I threw the bag away, I'm not kidding, there was at least a half a pound of powdered sugar in the bag still.
Dang.
There's that much powdered sugar on them. They're so
to
good.
die for. I heard somebody, actually, our tour guide, the mule tour guide, he said that his favorite beignet is from Cafe Beignet.
Okay.
My favorite, Cafe du Monde.
Yeah, I preferred the Cafe du Monde one. I've tried both, and I prefer the Cafe du Monde.
Oh, and we didn't say what our mule's name was. Her name was Queen.
We
And
got to
she
feed her.
was sassy.
He was giving her, he was hosing her down before we went on our tour, and then
She loved that.
Yeah, she
oh,
got a
and
nice
the reason they
bath
use
and-
mules, fun thing, mules can stand up to heat better than horses can.
Mm-hmm.
And also, mules are sterile.
Yep.
Because the mix between a horse and a donkey, it cannot then go and reproduce.
Yep, I didn't know that.
Yep.
So,
That's actually true in Minecraft too.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Right.
Yep.
Yep. You can't breed a mule.
interesting. So anyway, he let us feed her treats afterwards, and I got a picture with her, and she was so cute. Ooh, I want a mule.
Do you want a mule or do you want one of those crazy lizard gecko things?
Both.
Oh, okay.
She wants to pet her gecko thing while riding
Riding a
on a
mule.
mule.
Yes, I
To
love
get
it.
beignets.
Yeah, to get beignets. Every day she hops on her mule,
I
goes down there
love
and
it.
gets a
I
beignet
love
and then
it.
drives back.
It was so good. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, the other thing we checked out was a World War II museum, and it's a fantastic experience. We were there for over 6 hours. When you go there,
Holy crap! I would have hit eject way faster than that.
no, you wouldn't
no,
have. It
Trust
was
me.
I've got a low tolerance for a lot of stuff.
so
it was good.
They've got like every building is about a different campaign.
Yep.
And even like trying to walk through as fast as possible. Everything was themed. So you start off and you learn about like the start of the war, and then you get into this one building, and they had like as you walk through, they had a house exactly as it would have been in 1940. So you go through the museum through there. Then a big part of the World War II history was the United States, all the workers that were building.
Yeah, the manufacturing. Yeah.
And everything like that. So then you walked into like a warehouse, and they had like a rivet gun, or you could like rivet a side of an airplane.
They had a big
and,
section on Rosie the Riveter.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And,
so at the World War II Museum, right in the very beginning, before you get on your train, they have a section where they've got a plain "We Can Do It" banner and a plain
you can do with less or whatever, more or less.
so they can
Do with less so they have more or something.
yeah, something like that. And so you can dress up as either Rosie the Riveter or as a pilot.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh my gosh. So apparently Beyonce went to the World War II Museum.
Okay.
And she dressed up in this stuff and did the "We Can Do It" and apparently made it explode. I knew she had dressed up as Rosie the Riveter, but I didn't know
Where?
it was. I thought it was just like a Halloween thing she did.
Okay.
But apparently it was there. So
That's cool.
I put on all this stuff, and everybody standing in line was like, oh my gosh, she looks just like Rosie. I was like,
Hadn't you dressed up
right.
like her before?
I
for
have.
Halloween? Yeah,
I have.
that's what I thought.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
like that image was in my brain.
and then I photoshopped the "We Can Do It" behind me and everything.
No, they're okay.
But they had the actual banner down there, which
Yeah.
was kind of cool.
So I did that, and everybody was like, yeah, she looks like Rosie. I was like,
Oh, here's something I know you would have liked. They give you a dog tag.
oh yeah, this is
So
cool.
it's like a
Yes.
credit card. No, you would have loved this. I'm serious.
It's really cool.
So it's a credit card, but in every single room, in buildings 1, 2, and 3, they had a machine that had like a video or a story about World War II.
Mm-hmm.
You would NFC your like dog tag
You'd
to the
scan it.
machine, and it had collectibles in there that you
Oh,
could take
cool.
home, and then you program it online, and you can like look at 3D models of all the collectibles you got,
Right.
rewatch like videos about your thing, and
Oh,
then
that's pretty
the
dope.
cool thing is you're assigned a soldier from World War II.
and it tells you his specific story
And
at
the-
each booth.
6 of the consoles. Yeah, they give you.
That's freaking cool.
Yeah.
Dude, it was off the like hook.
Do
Awesome.
they have benches to sit down?
Tons of
Okay.
benches.
Yeah.
Tons of benches.
My guy was Ernie Pyle.
Ernie Pyle, who was a journalist during World War II.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
He was a war correspondent, and it's kind of cool. He was well loved by all of the soldiers during World War II, and he basically wrote from the trenches, from the perspective of a GI. He would interview them and stuff like that. And so all the guys loved him.
G.I. Joe, I think we've talked about this before.
Government issue Joe.
Yep.
And so after he was done with the war in Europe, he decided to go to Okinawa. And he wasn't even that far into his riding there when he was riding in a Jeep. And his convoy came under attack. And so everybody bailed. They went down into a ditch, and the firing stopped. And so he kind of looked up to make sure everybody was okay. No more. He didn't see any firing. Nobody was down. He looked down, asked the guy next to him, "Are you okay?" And a sniper shot him through his left temple.
Oh, damn.
Yep.
Yeah, and it got spoiled by a plaque before she finished the story on the dog tag.
Oh.
We were walking through, I'm like, Ernie Pyle, that name sounds familiar. I'm like, Kara, that's your guy. Oh, he died.
It was so sad.
It was really sad.
But everybody loved him. Apparently, he was a super nice guy, just absolutely awesome.
I had Jimmy Kanya. It's Kanaya. Kanawa. And his story was really fascinating. So when the Japanese attacked the U.S. during World War II, they rounded up all the Japanese citizens in the United States and sent them off to internment camps.
Yep.
And
In
his
Idaho,
parents,
wasn't it?
all over Utah, Idaho.
I thought a lot of them were in California.
They took them from California and brought them inward, so they couldn't.
Oh, I see. That's
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So they might not have taken him from like the middle of the U.S., but so his parents did that, and then so you learn about like they weren't salty about it. They said that it was just they were a product of circumstance, and so they tried to make the best of it, and it showed the internment camps how people turned it from this dry military barrack style living to a community. And how they like made Boy Scouts, like they did Boy Scout stuff there, and the girls did projects and gardening.
And then the U.S. government, once the young boys were the teenage boys were old enough, they asked them, "Would you serve in the U.S. Army?" And a lot of them did.
Okay.
Even being sent to these internment camps, they were like, "Yeah, we'll do it." And apparently, they were pivotal in like the war.
Interesting.
And so one of the other things that was really cool is, and I'd never seen this before, the museum claimed this 4D experience. I'm like, 4D experience? What's going on here?
You have to go and experience this. It's amazing.
So they would have like a wall, and then they'd have a piece of glass, and then maybe come forward like 4 inches in a piece of glass, and then they'd come forward like 3 pieces of glass, and then one final piece of glass. Every glass had a projector. So they would talk about, you walk into this one room, and so they would have articles about 1941 Pearl Harbor, and then they had Franklin Roosevelt in a podium, and they projected him in like against these 3 pieces of glass, different parts of him, so it looked like he was right there giving the speech, and you were right there. They had like an old microphone and old speakers, and it made it sound like it was period at the time.
The only thing that would have made it cooler, so right now I'm watching World War II in color on Netflix. The only thing that would have made that cooler is if they had actually colorized that black and white footage to make it feel more real.
But it was really cool, just the depth that added to it. It was like, wow, you couldn't stop watching this stuff. So it was like he was going there, and then they had different things going on. It's like you couldn't watch the entire production at once because there was so much. There was stuff
going on.
Like what was happening on the left side of them was different than the right. There'd be different news articles and different facts and different quotes and different things, and it was constant. So you'd get done watching that, and then you'd hit the NFC machine, and then you'd have another video playing, and one of the rooms was a hangar, like an old military hangar, and the ceiling was blown out, and then they had a projector up there projecting airplanes flying by.
It was so cool.
When you buy your pass, you can buy a second day pass for $7.
So right now they're working on a 6th building, plus they're going to be making a Higgins hotel. So it's going to be completely like 1940s style inside the hotel. So I told Jeremy, I was like, I really would like to go back down and actually take a couple days and fully experience the museum. One of the funny things is Jeremy told some of the guys he was on the deployment with, and he said, yeah, Kara and I are going to the World War II museum. And they were like, Kara would like that?
Yeah.
Little do they know, I love World War II history. Thank you.
Well, you were going to be a history major.
I wanted to be a history major with a specific focus on World War II. That's what I wanted to do. But I was like, what would I do with that?
Yeah.
I'd go work at the World War II museum.
There you go. There you go.
See you, Jeremy.
Bye.
Right?
Just kidding.
So I can't say enough good things about it. They've done it really well. They've got one whole floor is dedicated to the European conflict. One whole floor is dedicated to the Pacific conflict. It's fantastic. They've
Yeah.
got facts and interactive stuff, and like I said, the dog tag things. We went around and collected as much as we could, and we got 77 different collectibles. And
Well, I
pieces
feel
of-
bad because like at each of the kiosks there was, on average, I would say probably 6 videos, but there were only like 1 or 2 that you could download to watch later.
Oh, okay.
But
like
it's, I mean,
collect.
if you were to sit and watch every single video,
Read
and
everything.
read every single thing,
I'd say about a week.
Yeah, easily,
Dang.
easily. And when we were there, they were in one of the buildings. They were working on an additional display that was completely closed off. It was a huge room. We kind of peeked in. It looked like Russian stuff to me. So I'm wondering if that, because honestly, when we were there, they talked a little bit about Russia, but they didn't talk a lot about Russia. So I'm wondering if they're kind of gonna,
Some like Eastern Front stuff.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes,
which
yep.
would be super cool.
But they had one whole building was a STEM building, so your science and engineering and math and
That
stuff.
was awesome. So they talked about how you plot with the stuff they use, how you decide how far away a plane is.
Okay.
And so what they had are these 2 mirrors, and then basically like a scope aimed at one of the mirrors, and you see 2 parts of
you see
a
the
plane.
So you look at the plane, and then you turn your scope, and so you keep the real plane there,
You turn the mirror.
and you turn the mirror until the bottom half of the plane lines up
Lines
with
up.
what you actually see.
Okay.
And then it uses the distance between the mirrors, and you have a chart, and it tells you how far away the plane is.
Yep.
Okay.
It was,
actually
super
really
cool.
So they had that. They had a Higgins boat in there, which is what they used on Normandy to bring all the soldiers in.
Troops to land on the beach.
Yep. So they brought that. They had a Higgins boat
They
there.
had
They
a,
had
a giant
medical.
ear.
Yep.
A giant ear, so it was about
I'd say 10 feet.
at least
wide.
10 feet wide.
10
and it
feet
was
diameter.
it had these big tubes that looked like conch shells, more or less, that wrapped into one little tiny earpiece. And the Germans would listen to it, and they could hear airplanes coming before they could detect them on their radar and stuff
Yep.
like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That was insane. So they had that, and they had a medical truck. That was really cool. And they had a PT boat. Was it a PT boat?
Something like that.
It had a really big boat.
They had an airplane model, and they had a wind generator, and you took the airplane model, and you could try to set the wings to get maximized lift for that specific set of
Oh, and
airplanes or whatever.
what was the engine they had there?
They had a V12 for like it was a Packard motor.
Packard, that's what it
that
was,
they
yeah.
restuck into the Higgins motors. So, anyways, that was our trip to New Orleans.
Sorry, we are going to have a World War II podcast.
We wanted to have
And
a
it's gonna be
podcast on
amazing.
and have Kara's brother on because he loves World War II stuff and just sit and talk about World War II facts and get corrected by the internet. Chris's biggest fear.
That's not my
Nate-
biggest fear. It's just what I know is going to happen. Everybody on the internet is a World War II historian, apparently. So you can't say anything about it without getting corrected by literally the entire
Our
internet.
comments are going to be comments. They're going to be well, actuallys.
Well,
Maybe I'll dress up as Rosie for that podcast.
there you
There you
go.
go.
That
Yeah,
could be
so,
fun.
Yeah, so leave all of your corrections in the comment section below. And while you're doing that, like this video if you liked it, even if we made a bunch of mistakes about whatever we talked about. And, if you actually like what we were talking about, hit the subscribe button. Shows that you're supporting what we're doing to the channel. You can come back and check out what we're doing. Or if you're really into what we're doing, ring that notification bell. You'll get notified of every single video that we upload. Really shows that you support us, and we really, truly do appreciate it. And of course,
May the force be with you.